Welcome to the Empowered Women series. My name is Marianne Illing. I'm the founder of Empowered Women, and I am on a mission. I'm on a mission to help women feel seen, heard, and felt. And this series is a series of women who truly inspire me. And the whole point of the series is to see these women come in and they have changed the narrative in their own lives. And may they inspire you to change the daily for generations that came before you and for the generations that come after you. So, my incredible guest today from New York City is Iyala Anne. And welcome to the Empowered Women series, sister.
Thank
Before we begin, can you just tell us a little bit about who you be?
My name is Iyala. I am right now in New York City, but I'll be moving to Hawaii within a few months. I have been teaching yoga for about 30 years. I've an artist, a fine artist, painter, also have had a fashion design line and recorded an album. So I'm definitely a creative type. And then over the past maybe like 6 years, 7 years, have been delving pretty deeply into my own fertility journey. And then it's birthed a lot of inspiration to help other women. So that's currently where I'm at.
So we're going to get into your empowerment story a bit later, but what does it mean to you to be an empowered woman?
To be an empowered woman is to really feel safe in your authenticity and to be able to act from that place of safety and of really just being able to act, not just access, but hone in on your feminine energy and allow that to navigate your life. And that's really, I feel, the crux of being empowered is really how do we stay tuned into that without getting distracted or without getting taken out of it? Because there's so many ways to get out of it through just society, the programming,
Yeah.
lack of self-worth, all the things, all the imprints that, we all have different ones, you know, we get different imprints and different patterning through our upbringing and things like that. But I think a lot of them tend to keep us separated or disconnected from our empowerment. And so a lot of us find a journey back to it.
And who do you feel for you is a role model as an empowered woman?
Mm, that's a really good question. I I think my aunt was pretty pivotal for me growing up, and she's no longer here, but I still feel her. And you know, my I have this memory of like when I was in my early 20s, and I just remember it was kind of like this aha moment. And I was in Costa Rica, I was living by the beach, and it was like that the ocean was my mother. And it was so much of what I was learning about feminine energy was from the ocean. I at that point I had been living in Hawaii and I was in Costa Rica, and I was basically on this trajectory of travel that always led me to be by the sea. And I know it wasn't the female in physical form, but I feel that she's been a really powerful teacher about female energy.
Mm, that is huge and so, so beautiful. Now, I've invited you on because I feel you're a woman with an empowered woman's story. So, can you tell us more about your story?
Yeah. So I had my daughter at just shy, yeah, 41, just shy of 42. I had met he wasn't my husband at the time, but I met my partner pretty, later on. I was in my late 30s when I met him. He was pretty gung-ho to have kids, but I wasn't quite ready yet. I wanted to have more time in the relationship. So I got pregnant really easily. I wasn't even trying, had my daughter, had a really easy pregnancy, um, was planning for a home birth, and it all was going well up until right at the end. And then I had to have an emergency transfer, but that actually went, I think, as well as it possibly could have gone. And um, yeah, just really embraced motherhood and um, decided around like when my daughter was probably a year and a half to try to have another child. So we tried and I got pregnant right away, and I had an early miscarriage, and then I got pregnant two more times after that. And I was always very quick to get pregnant. I'd give my body usually 3 months after the loss, and then I would try again, and I would get pregnant pretty quickly. And I subsequently had two more losses after that one. So that was three losses. And then it started to take longer to get pregnant again. I got pregnant a fourth time, and then found out right at the beginning of the second trimester that due to medical reasons, the best choice for me and my family was for me to abort the baby. And that that was just really a culmination of, me plowing through this trying to have another baby. And it was like after each of those losses, I felt like I was feeling it and feeling the loss and the grief, but I was in a very masculine mindset of like, let me just try again, let me just try again. And, I in some ways was very lucky. My body was okay with it, and it went for the ride with me with that. But after um, this this terminated pregnancy, things really shifted, and I stopped ovulating, and it just kind of all catapulted, I guess, onto me about what fertility meant to me, how to I was so crushed, it was like so much of myself was invested in having another baby. So it was like my self-worth, the ability to love myself, the incredible disappointment I was feeling, the heartache, and then this kind of what felt like this very quick, um, abrupt ending to my cycles. And so then I had to really look at what does menopause look like? I mean, I was just pregnant. I didn't know that this was going to happen so quick. Um, and I was always looking for a really quick answer and a really quick explanation, as to why these things were happening to me. And I was in victim mode, I was a victim to these circumstances. And I just started to dive really deep, and and started to do a lot of somatic work where I was really realizing how much pain and grief was stored in my womb and my heart that I hadn't really felt. That what I thought I was feeling was really in my mind, and that a lot of what I thought my emotions were still stories in the mind. And what I found through moving through all of this is that through all the pain, birthed this beautiful creation of a new sense of self, of understanding what fertility really is, because my belief is that fertility and creativity are one and of the same energy. And so, if I wasn't able to birth these babies, there was still things for me to birth in this world, and especially being a creative person, that it could very well be these creative endeavors that, were ready to come, and that, menopause is not the end of a woman's fertility, and I think that's what is really needs to be restored, is that, society, I think, has really made it that a woman's cronehood is her expiration. And it's like, it's just the beginning of a new cycle. It's a rebirth. And and I still don't know where I am within all of that. But what I felt able to do was dive deeper into the mystery and be okay with the unknown, and with the unknown of having a second child, and then really coming to this place of acceptance of not having another child, and what that feels like. And what changed for me was that if I wasn't able to have that baby, that my life was still full, that there was still abundance, that there was nothing, it was like in the thick of it, it was like I needed that baby. And if I couldn't have that baby, it was like, my life stopped, it's like affected my relationship with my partner. It affected my, what I wanted to do in this world work-wise. I mean, everything was so suffocated because of this one desire, and I couldn't surrender. And so what I feel like my journey to empowerment has been a lot about learning how to have desire and how to be a container for desire and
Mm,
surrender. So it's kind of like water, right? Like we float in the water, and if we tense or we hold, we can't, like that's like the desire, right? It's like something floating
mm,
in the water. It's held, but there's space and there's fluidity around it. And so that is really, to me, what I feel like my fertility journey helped me to uncover, and the empowerment of feeling safe, because I didn't feel safe. Every time I had
yeah.
another loss, I was gripping, I was clenching, my womb was gripping, there was so much somatically also happening that you know it's no surprise that after almost a year of not having any bleeds, that once I did some really deep work, I had a cycle again. So
Mm.
to me it was very telling, and um yeah, I I don't know if that covered it all, but I think that's the kind of the heart of it.
I know there will be many women listening to your story and your words. I became a container for desire, of desire, and I learned how to surrender. This is pretty profound if you think about women of today, A, on a fertility journey, and B, walking into cronehood. So I know within you, for those who are watching, who are inspired by your story, because this is going to inspire a lot of people. I can promise you right now. When I hold a space for you, you inspire me. So my question to you would be, what advice do you have for people who are inspired by your empowered story?
um it's a really, you have to have a lot of courage to really like go deep into yourself, and there's going to be resistance, and to, remember that this is your liberation, like that this, whatever, whatever comes up, it's a it's a chance to move through like another layer, to feel more empowered and to feel more free. But it's like, we can't skip the hard work. So I know, like for me, it was like my programming would come back in,
Mm,
and it's very seductive, and it's very easy um to get caught up in what our beliefs and thoughts have been for so long about things. So I guess my advice is to, stick with the the moments that feel uneasy or unsure, or when you feel like you're going backwards, or when you feel like, you're not making any strides, or you feel like you're, holding on even more. Um, But in terms of like, practices, I mean, there was definitely things practice wise that helped me, just a lot with my body. So I was already doing yoga and, movement every day, and then embodied dance, and really just simple exercises of just being with feelings, and where do I feel it in my body, and to just breathe there and sit with it and be there for it. Um, because it's almost like part of the process is, for me, was like mothering myself, or mothering the inner child, and being able to be a container for the emotions and for the feelings. Because once we can create space and sit with them without, running to fix it or change it, or avoid it or distract ourselves from it, then it's like, you air it out, and then it kind of, the power of it dissipates, and then
Mm.
it just, so that was really, powerful. And I practice it a lot, when I feel like strong emotions coming, or, gripping in the mind. It's like, okay, it's just to immediately bring yourself out of the head and into the body and into where you're feeling it physically. I find that's a really helpful tool.
Amazing. Amazing. You have such an empowering story. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Now, you mentioned earlier you went and you dived deeper. I know you did a lot of different work. We did one-on-one work together. Do you feel that helped in
Oh,
your empowerment story? And if so, how?
yeah, I mean, I would say, I had you, and I have an acupuncturist, and the acupuncturist is, 30 minutes of talking. So it's not just straight up needles. So I had been going to her. Um, I met her when I got pregnant, the last time I got pregnant. So I had been working with her, and then I met you and started working with you. Um, I just felt with your work, I really was able to tap into a deeper source, and kind of well within myself, of love and of acceptance and power. And I just felt, so for me, so much of my journey was centered around my womb. So all the work that we did, I mean, between the steaming and just the meditations and everything, but just, it was like, I felt working with you restored my womb. It healed so much of the trauma that was there. Not just physical, but emotional and energetic trauma, and really gave me a new sense of life and vitality. And, you know, our wombs, I feel like, are like a microcosm of our whole being. So it's like, if
Mm.
right, if our like womb is clear and vital. So I was feeling that within my life, I was just feeling that in my body. I was feeling that with moving ahead. And just, I mean, have been totally such a huge, I can't even think of the word, but like such a huge part of my journey, and what has helped me to come back to a place of feeling more empowered. And um yeah, just, it was just so much healing that happened with you, and so much honoring and remembrance and reclamation, like really reclaiming who I naturally was, that I had forgotten. Or
Mm. Reclamation is such a huge piece. But even what excites me so much is you've taken this journey, and this is not just about you are a fertility mentor, but when I witness you and I witnessed what you've uncovered, it's so much more. This woman can tell you with your body what you need. There's acupuncture. There is a whole menu that she's put together that I honestly have not seen anywhere else. So if people want to find you and they want to work with you, where do they find you? And I can tell you now, I know this for a fact, she's put together different embodied journeys. So you're going to go deep into your body. But more importantly, what I love about your work is the outcome is not about the baby, it's about the woman who has journeyed through all of this. So where can these women who you've totally inspired through this, where can they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me at my website's the easiest. It's Wild Wakening. It's WILD and then WAKENING.com. It's not awakening, that's why I'm spelling it out. It's Wild Wakening. Instagram, same handle at Wild Wakening. I'm totally open to DMs and things like that. Facebook as well, although I'm more active on Instagram. And yeah, I didn't even say that in my whole fertility journey, but you just kind of highlighted a huge thing for me in what I do with mentoring women in their fertility journey. The whole reason, or not the whole reason, but a big part of why I created what I did is because when I was going through it and I was looking at fertility yoga, it just felt so, they all felt so outcome based. And, it was like, it was all geared to get you pregnant. But I didn't feel like that there was much out there about, well, what happens if you don't get pregnant, and not much support.
Yeah.
And that, you know, when you're on a fertility journey and you're like, you don't need, a woman doesn't need to feel that she failed at something else. So
Yes.
if you're gearing someone up to get them pregnant or for their IVF cycle to work and it doesn't, I feel like it almost could do harm. So I very much, my premise is like, it's not just about getting you the baby. And of course, it's like everything I'm doing is going to help prime a woman's body and womb, and not just
Mm,
physically, but energetically, for the best possible outcome to get
yeah.
pregnant, but that she feels equipped to deal with, like, well, what if she doesn't get pregnant? And that that the fertility journey is, to me, it's a rite of passage, and to really
Mm,
honor it as that, and to guide women into having that experience. So I I have a weekly fertility yoga class, and I call it the Zoom Haven. And it's an hour class, and it's nice for community. Like, even though we're not in person, everyone's there. Everyone has a different journey, but everyone is there kind of with the same desire. So we just create a bigger container for that desire. And then I do a lot of where I feel the deep work is the one-on-one program I have. Uh,
mm,
and then I also am doing embodied dance series. So I just did, I'm almost at the end of one. It's a 5 week, so it's once a week, and each week is a theme. And so I have that. So yeah, I've put together a few different ways to work together. And it's just such an honor to help women on their fertility journey and beyond. I mean, that's the other
yes.
bit, is like, I think women, any woman would benefit who's trying to like unlock her creativity, who doesn't feel connected to her creative essence. Even women in menopause, like I said, I mean, there's still fertility there. It's not
Yeah.
going to yield a baby, per se. I mean, it could if she wants to go through IVF, but there's, so many other things to create. So as much as it's geared towards women on the fertility journey, I think it goes beyond that as well.
So if you are looking for a code of fertility or a container of desire, this is the woman you need to find. I will put all her details below. I really thank you for coming in and sharing your empowerment story so vulnerably and so truthfully and so authentically. And you always are that grounded authenticity, and women would be blessed for you to hold a space for them. So if this has inspired you, thank you for joining us, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you, Iyala.
You.